Welcome to the Horror Hour, where your darkest fears come to life. Each episode delves into spine-chilling tales, eerie phenomena, and the unsettling unknown. Join me as we explore the stories that make your skin crawl and your imagination race. Turn down the lights and let the horror begin. The Monsters of Pine Grove. It was a typical evening in Pine Grove, a picturesque suburb where the most scandalous event was a dog barking too loudly. The Johnsons, a family known for their affable nature, gathered around the dinner table. Laughter and the clinking of silverware filled the room, a stark contrast to the shadows gathering just beyond their window. Next door, behind the modest facade of number 72, a man named Victor Grimwald sat motionless in the dim light of his living room. His face was a mask of serenity, but beneath the surface, a monstrous form lurked. Victor's true nature was one of twisted malevolence, his eyes reflecting a hunger far darker than mere human appetites. He had been perfecting his disguise for years, waiting for the moment when Pine Grove would be ripe for the picking. Down the street, the young couple, Hannah and Tom, had settled into their cozy home. Their evening was a blend of warmth and intimacy, the kind of evening that made Pine Grove famous for its charm. They were blissfully unaware that their beloved elderly neighbor, Mrs. Alder, was anything but ordinary. In the basement of her house, Mrs. Alder's true nature emerged. Her potion was a dark, bubbling concoction, emitting a noxious aroma. As she stirred it with practiced ease, her eyes gleamed with a sinister purpose. The witch had long been a part of Pine Grove's underbelly, manipulating and influencing from the shadows. Tonight, she had a special plan, one that would unleash her full power upon the unsuspecting residents. The clock struck midnight. An unnatural silence blanketed Pine Grove, disturbed only by the occasional rustling of leaves. At the stroke of 1 a.m., a blood-curdling howl split the night. It came from Victor Grimwald's direction, and it was not merely a sound but a harbinger of the chaos to follow. The Johnsons, who had been enjoying a late movie, were startled by the howl. Peering out their window, they witnessed a grotesque transformation. Victor's human guise melted away, revealing a beast with sharp claws and fangs, its eyes burning with a primal fury. The once peaceful suburban street became a battleground as Victor unleashed his rage upon the neighborhood, tearing through the quiet night. As the chaos unfolded outside, Mrs. Alder's magic began to take effect. Hannah and Tom, snug in their home, suddenly felt a chilling draft. The walls seemed to close in, and an overwhelming sense of dread settled over them. Mrs. Alder's spell had seeped into their home, warping their perceptions and heightening their fears. Hannah's cries of terror mixed with Tom's desperate attempts to calm her, creating a symphony of panic that echoed through the night. Outside, the witch's influence extended further. As Victor ravaged the neighborhood, Mrs. Alder manipulated the minds of the residents, sowing discord and confusion. The once orderly streets turned into a chaotic maze of terror, with neighbors attacking each other under the witch's malevolent guidance. The night wore on, each moment bringing more horror. The sounds of screams, snarls, and spells filled the air, weaving a tapestry of fear and destruction. Pine Grove was no longer the quaint suburb it had been. It was a nightmarish landscape where monsters roamed freely and witches played their cruel games. Victor's rampage left homes in ruins, while Mrs. Alder's magic twisted reality itself. People fled in panic, some hiding in their homes, others running blindly through the streets, unsure if they could trust their own neighbors. The once tranquil neighborhood was now a place of unrelenting terror. As the first light of dawn pierced the horizon, the chaos began to subside. The monsters had retreated, their hunger momentarily sated. Pine Grove lay in ruins, a shell of its former self. Houses were shattered, streets littered with debris, and the once serene atmosphere was replaced by a haunting silence. The Johnsons and the young couple emerged from their homes, their faces etched with the horror of what they had witnessed. They found their neighbors missing or in disarray, struggling to comprehend the extent of the destruction. The witch and the beast had vanished as if they had never been there, leaving only the aftermath of their malevolent spree. Pine Grove began the slow process of recovery, but the scars left by that night were deep. The residents would never forget the true nature of their neighbors, the monsters that had lurked in plain sight. The neighborhood's once cherished normalcy was replaced by a pervasive unease, a constant reminder that evil can hide behind the most innocent of facades. The monsters of Pine Grove had vanished, but their presence lingered in the shadows. Whispers of their return haunted the conversations of the residents, a chilling reminder that their nightmare might not be over. The monsters were still out there, waiting, hiding, and biding their time for the next opportunity to strike. And so, Pine Grove remained forever changed, a place where the line between normalcy and horror had been irrevocably blurred. The residents now lived with the knowledge that the true monsters were not always the ones you could see, but those who dwelt just out of sight, ready to pounce when least expected.